morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us to share a minute of silence for all of those in the NHS, the care workers and key workers who have lost their lives because of COVID-19.
Good morning to everybody and a really warm welcome to you all.
Hello and a very warm welcome to today's tutorial. Our focus is on Bridge Club Live, and that's from the perspective of a new user. So let's take a look at our learning outcomes for today. Bridge Club Live is a members club. You are going to understand the fee structure and the ethos of that club. You will then be able to navigate your way around the key areas of the site and discover how Bridge Club Live can enhance your teaching and your students' learning. So let's start at the very beginning, and apparently that's a very fine place to start.
So hi everybody, those of you that were watching me, and there's no reason why you should have been when you had the screen in front of you and you were eagle-eyed, you'd have noticed that I didn't move my lips while I was giving that introduction to the tutorial. I recorded it on my PowerPoint slide. And this is something that's, as a teacher, is an underused facility, I think, particularly as we are looking at new ways to deliver lessons. It's a very simple thing to do. If you already have your PowerPoint slides available to you, you simply go into Insert, Audio, Record, and you can send your slides to your students without having to deliver a live tutorial like this. So I just wanted to share that aspect with you before we move on to Bridge Club Live today. So here we are. You should be able to see the homepage of the Bridge Club Live website on your screen that I'm sharing. Bridge Club Live is a members club, and it's really important to emphasize that. With that, there are subscriptions, there are fees that are involved. And so before you think about signing up your students or new members, you need to be aware of those. So if you look on the home page, you can go under subscriptions and price list, and this will give you, I'll just scroll down, a list of all the memberships available to. There are varying types. Today, I'm focusing on an area of play for supervised play and beginners, which is a really fine place to start on a journey when you don't know the site at all. And notice that you don't need a full subscription to enter the sites that I'm talking about today, specifically the Coaching Corner, and that's a subscription for that. Please also be aware that when you're looking at costs, that you're comparing like with like. Notice that Bridge Club Live is an affiliated club with the EBU. That means that if you're playing in tournaments, you can be awarded master points. And because it's an annual subscription, you can play in as many as you like. If you want to achieve the same thing elsewhere, you will be paying on a pay-to-play basis. So if you want master points, be aware that you're going to have to pay for them one way or another, and just be clear on what you're getting for your subscription. So once you've decided to use the site and you've got your students that are joining you using the site, the very first thing that you have to do is sign in and have a username. And as we've spoken about before, first things first, communication when you're teaching on these sites are absolutely paramount. And so you need to know, your students to know your username, your login, and you need to know theirs in advance so you can add them to friends and you can use the chat tab and communicate to each other easily. I'm going to show you how to add a friend. You can look up a profile and you get a search. If they've given you their username, you can just type that in. I have with me today Celia, who is a long member of Bridge Club Live, and I am going to search for her, and she is Dulciana. So she's come up, I'm going to press her, and her profile will appear. Now, if your students haven't set their profiles, and they may well not have done if they've just signed up, this will be unpopulated with much. You screen down to the bottom and you add as friends. And then your students will be your friends, and you would have given your students your username so they can go through the same process and add you. Before we move into the table that we're looking at the coaching corner, I want to draw your attention to something else. We talked about at the beginning how ethics and code of conduct are very important within Bridge Club Live. It is one of those things that's important to us as teachers. We want our students to have a really friendly environment when we're teaching and playing with them, but also when they move away from us and venture into a live club. And this is what they get from Bridge Club Live. And I want to draw your attention before your students begin to play on the site. You should get them to read this page. Go into information and ethics and code of conduct on the right. Click on that. And this information, I think, is quite crucial. It does say, if you page down, it is hoped that everybody will have referred to this page by shortly after they have started to play in Bridge Club Live, and at least be aware of the various other information pages. Basically, this page tells your students how they should behave within this members club, and it also tells them what to expect from other people. It's quite crucial. So before you begin, get their username and tell them to read this page and understand what is expected when they're in the club. There's some very important things in here about kibitzing and lurking that we're going to look at in a minute. And it's a good place to start and be fully aware of what is expected of you. So they're the things that I would do before I begin. We'll go back to the home page, and this is where you'll start. So we've done all the setup, we've got our students, they've got our username, we've opened those channels of communication, we've explained to them the fee structure, we've explained to them the ethos of the club, which is very important. And now we want to play bridge with them. And there's a very big tab here, play bridge. I'll just draw your attention to something else before we leave the home page, and this is help and frequently asked questions. If they have any questions, most of them will be in there. It's actually excellent. I've used it a lot over the last couple of weeks. So draw that to their attention too, because they may find answers without having to ask anybody else. So we click on the Play Bridge tab and it takes us into this screen. You'll see welcome, Jax M. This is my username at the top. And I'll just draw your attention to two tabs down here. It says do not disturb is on, and it says chat in is on. I'm just going to highlight my cursor to make it a little bit obvious. It might be quite good against this background. So down here, do not disturb is on, chat in, do not show adverts. These are just quick settings. I'll show you how to adjust the settings when we enter the site. But these are just quick settings to minimize the amount of chat that you see, which is the communication box when you enter the site, and adverts, which I should just explain to you. It is a members club. Adverts are not external advertising. They are adverts for people to join tables. When you sit on a table, you can send out adverts for people to join you. And that's what they mean by that. That's not an external advert. So we want to enter the Bridge Club, and we press enter Bridge Club. We get a lovely welcome message, which I always quite like. And here we are. Today, I'm going to talk about the coaching corner. As I mentioned earlier, this is a supervised play area, and it's a very gentle place to start. I can come in here with my students and they can sit at a table and I can watch what they're doing and I can chat to them and give them advice. But crucially, they can also come in here without me and they're in a really friendly atmosphere, playing with people of a similar standard to them. And at certain times during the week, they will find that there are coaches available to help them if, you know, if they get stuck and they've got questions. It's not tuition, but it is help that is available. And if you look in the information pages, it will give you details, but the coaching happens on a Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the evening currently. I was in there yesterday and I have to say I did have a thoroughly enjoyable experience. In terms of boards, there are 24 boards that are played in this table in the coaching corner. 24 boards are released on a Tuesday morning. They were released this morning and they stay there all week. So they're the same boards. I have to make clear to you that you cannot currently import your own boards into Bridge Club Live. What you are playing are pre-dealt hands. But in the coaching corner, those hands, those boards stay there all week. You can play them as many times as you wish. And you can then look at them and get really crucial feedback. As a teacher, I could go in there this morning, for instance, I could play 24 boards, however many I want to, and then I'm aware if I'm teaching later in the week, exactly how many boards, what's in those boards, what's, you know, what I can pick on to teach my students. I have the heads up. I've already looked at them and played them, so I can give really crucial feedback to my students. So that's available to you. I'm going to enter, before I enter, look up here on the right. This is me, Bridge Club Live, Jax M. I'm in the lobby. I'm lurking. Now, I've not been accused of lurking since I was at school, but if you're in Bridge Club Live and you are not sitting at a table, but you are in the lobby, here I'm in the lobby, and you're not sitting down, you are called a lurker. So when we come to look at chat, which is down the bottom, and you see lurker, that simply means that is somebody that's not sitting at a table, that is just within the club and is just lurking, I guess, which is what I'm doing at the moment. Before we start, I always start in settings. So you need to familiarize yourself with all of the functionality of the site. And this is where I always begin. And so you press settings. And what you'll see is a list that looks quite daunting to begin with. And I'm not going to go into this in a blow-by-blow account. And a lot of this is very personal to you, how you like, whether you like noise, that, you know, the welcome at the beginning, or there's certain sounds that come when you play a card or when it's your turn to bid. You can go down these settings and you can turn them on or off. I'll show you the bit audio, because this might annoy you and you might love it, but you might not. It's personal. And this is where you turn things on and turn things off. You click on them to disable them or enable them. So you need to go down here and turn on your personal settings and be happy with those. And this is where you find everything. It's worth mentioning when we're at the table, and I'm going in a minute, you can play any of those 24 boards that are in that coaching corner in any order and at any time you wish. You don't have to play all 24. I played 2 yesterday. You can do what you wish. And this is where, in settings, is where you will find when you're in a table and playing, you can choose the board number. So you'll need to know that. And this is where you find it. Quickly going to show you chat options. We're going to talk about that quickly. Chat options are, as they say on the tin, your chat function is down the bottom of the screen. You enter your chat, you type in what you want to say, but you need to be very clear on who you are talking to at any given time. In blue, it says at the moment, if I typed in hello, I would be sending that to all the lurkers, the people that are not sitting at tables that are within the club. If I wish to chat to somebody else, I need to chat to table, if I was at a table, spectators, which we're going to look at in a minute, or specific people. And I need to ensure that that is reflected in the name down here and that I'm sending it to the right people. I also need to make sure on the information pages that I showed you a few moments ago, that it clearly states, be very careful if you're chatting to table, when it's correct to talk to people, don't disturb them when they're playing a hand. All of these things are very important. You know, I mentioned ethics and code of behaviour, best behaviour at bridge practice at the beginning. What I quite like about this is there's every opportunity to draw that attention to the people that will deal with any poor behaviour. And if you look here on this tab, it's got a pen and a paper, and it comes up send interim incident report. You have lots of opportunity, if something happens you're unhappy, to flag that up. And that's a really important key thing. Over here on the right in the settings is a sort of quick option to get into chat options up. So it's a sort of shortcut to get your options up rather than going into settings and going down. One thing I quite liked, because I need glasses and my eyesight's not what it was, I rather like this decrease incoming, increase and decrease the chat. I found the chat quite small. I quite like it large, but it's up to you. Go in there, familiarize yourself, look at the options, set what you want to set that suits you, and do that before you bring your students in and before you deliver your lessons. Make yourself comfortable with the functionality of the site. So they are the settings. I have a profile here. I haven't populated mine, but when you click on people, you will see that they have done so. And we'll have a look in a moment. So I think it's time to enter the room. If I click on the coaching corner, there I am. It's highly populated and it's busy this morning. They've just released their new 24 boards, and I have the ability to join a table. And say I had a table in here that was populated by my students. So if we look at table 1 here, they're on board 20, and you see this I. If I click on that, it'll bring up a box. And you'll notice it says spectate or kibitz options. Now in Bridge Club Live, they are spectators and kibitzers have two separate functions. And if you click on them, it'll tell you. If you click on the question mark, the help, it will tell you in your chat box exactly what they mean. To spectate a table means see all hands. To kibitz a table means to only see what one player sees. And when you heard that sound, that's why if you want to disable that sound, you go into your settings and you turn it off because it can be quite loud. So I want to spectate because as a teacher, I want to be able to see all of the cards at the table. So I just click on spectate table 1 and a person to spectate, and I'm taken into a table. These are my students that are in there, and I can now observe exactly what has gone on the table. If I go up to the right hand side, I can see the contract. The contract that they've achieved is 4 Hearts by West. That's the state of the tricks at the moment. The vulnerability is dealer all, and if I click on the contract, I get up the auction. I can see who bid, who passed, all of the details are there for me. So I come into the table, even though I wasn't there when they started the auction, and I'm completely clear what has gone on, and I can observe and chat to my students. One thing I would say, I really like the chat function. It has taken me a little while to get to grips with it. And I think if I brought a table of 4 students in here straight away, I would still want to have an open communication via a audio platform of your choosing, whatever you prefer. Because I think when you're starting, it's enough to be watching the play and trying to give some constructive feedback. And if you want to type all that in, it's really quite difficult to do. So I would still suggest, even though the chat is there and that's really helpful, I would suggest having an open audio platform so that you can talk to your students at the same time. You notice that South here has turned yellow. Their seat has turned yellow, and when it is your turn to bid or to play, you turn yellow to make it obvious to other people that it's your turn, and to yourself that it is your turn to play a card. When you play in Bridge Club Live, you do have to click twice on a card, and you do have to click twice on a bid. It is strongly advised not to just double click. It's done purposefully so that you don't misplay a card. So you click once and then click in again, so you're happy that you're playing the card you wish to. When you enter a table, when we go back outside, I'll show you the tables. If a seat is empty, it will say sit on the table, and I can press on sit and it will take me to my seat at the table. And I can then invite in whoever I would like to be my partner. What you would be doing if you're organising a group of students is you would probably pre-prepare who is sitting with who, and that you're all sitting at the same table. You would send out information, and you invite people to your table. If you click members, you will see that you get a list of members. I've already shown you how to put friends in there, and I'll go into friends. I haven't got any online, but if I go into all, it shows them offline too. And if I click on Dulciano, who I just invited as a friend, you'll see over here on the right, there's an option, set as a partner. I can click on that if I've agreed that Dulciano is expecting to play with me. I can sit at a table, I can find the person that I want to play with, and I can either invite them. If I click on someone that I don't know, you'll see over here it says invite to play. I can either invite them, or I can select them as a partner. So that's how you get your partner into a seat. And you can see here there are spare seats available. So we're going to go back to the table that I was on. And I'm sorry, I've just clicked on that and left it. So I'm going to go into another table here. I'm going to join. I'm going to spectate. This time I'm going to kibitz to show you the difference. So that's the difference. This time I'm kibitzing, and I've chosen Christine, and I'm just seeing it from her perspective. I can't see the other cards. So that's the choice between spectating and kibitzing a table. If I wanted to talk to somebody, I can click on their name. I'm clicking on West here, and you'll see that I'm getting Liz's details up. And there's an option to chat too, but there's another option in settings to set on something called quick chat. And if I've got that activated, then Liz's name would appear down here, and I could send a very quick message to her. So you'll notice when somebody plays a card, when the tricks are won or lost, they're in front of you, just like they are at the bridge table, won tricks, lost tricks in a visual image there. So I can see exactly what's gone on. When you take a seat at a table, you'll find that in the middle of the table, there is a large button saying ready, and you just have to click that button when you're ready to play, and then you are ready. You all have to click it. And there's another button underneath that says invite. So if you don't have anyone to play with and you want to enter the site and you want people to join you, you can send out invites. And when you enter the site, if you remember, I said there was an option to turn off invites. That's what you're turning off, because lots of people are inviting people from all over, and you can turn off those invites if you know you don't need to be invited, you don't need to accept any of those. So that's the very quick start to a coaching corner, and where you can begin as a teacher, and where a really safe place to bring your students is. As I mentioned, you can bring your students as a teacher, and you can watch everything they do. You can give them constructive feedback. If you've played those 24 boards already, you have probably picked out crucial bits of information that were relevant to the lessons that you have been giving. There's always something, and you can give them constructive feedback on that. So, but I am just going to show you one more thing, and that is results, and how powerful it is to be able to look at results and give this constructive feedback. You'll see in the tab up on the right, there is something called results. You can click on that, and you just get a real raw score results. I only played 3 boards. I had a practice with somebody, and I played 2 boards yesterday. You get my raw results. But if I come out of this site and I go back to the home page, here we are. You'll see there's a results tab. Sorry, I clicked on that quite quickly. I'll do that again. You see here, there's a results tab, and you get this menu up. I'm going to go into archive results because I played yesterday, which was Monday. That was the final day in the 24 board release. And so this morning there's a fresh 24 boards. So because my boards would have been compared to everybody that played last week, and that week is finished and we have a fresh week, my results are archived now, they're not current. So I'm going to go into archive personal results, and you'll see that I have a tab here saying Coaching Corner dealt with my scores. I'm going to click on that, and it takes me into this site, which hopefully you can see. So I played 2 yesterday against Coach Steve that was in there. I played 2 boards. I had a lovely time, I have to say. And here are my results. So you get percentage results scored against everybody else that has played those boards for that week, and you get your board number. If I click on my board number, I get the hand up. This is the hand that I played yesterday, and it gets even better than that. If I scroll down, I can, underneath, there is a list of every person that was in that coaching corner that played that board, their results, and crucially, exactly what they did. So I can click on bids and play, and here we are. We come up with exactly what happened on that board. So if I go down here, it says auction, and I click on the advance, I can find out exactly how the bidding went on this table. This isn't my table, this is anybody's table that played that board the same as me. I can compare that with how I played or my students played. I can go through the entire auction. That's where it finished, 2 clubs. I can now go over to the play, and I can play trick by trick exactly what was led, how the play went, and what the auction was. And I can do that for everybody that played that board, and I can compare it to mine, and I can go back with some really constructive feedback to my students. I can also, they are available in PBN format. You'll see on the right here, PBN files. So I can get the PBN file, and I could always put that into some software. If you've got free Dealer 4 software or anything, you can put it into software, and you can basically have a look, get double dummy up, and do some hand analysis if you so wish. There's a huge amount of information in there that can be used. And yes, there are only 24 boards, but as I say, amongst that, there will be elements that you can draw in and weave into your own lessons. So that's a very quick run through from a beginning perspective where to start with your students on Bridge Club Live. I would just like to add one more thing. I am aware that at the moment it's a hugely fluid situation with online Bridge, as you know, I'm sure. And changes are happening the whole time. It's very important to keep current with those changes. And I know that Bridge Club Live are going to be offering teaching tables. That's in the pipeline. So as a teacher, you should be aware of anything that changes and opportunities that you may have. We would like to keep you informed and put it on our website. And that, I think, is enough for me. So now I'm going to go back to Lorna. I also have mentioned today with me, I have Celia, who, if there are any questions that are more in depth, she will be able to answer them as a long-standing user of Bridge Club Live. And so if you have any questions, you have any comments, we always have our forum and we have our website, and we're delighted to hear your views. So that's it from me, and over to Lorna.
Hi. In a second, we'll get back to full screen and we'll be able to see everybody. You may have noticed that there is a chat box. I did ask for anybody to type their questions in, but we haven't actually had questions about the Bridge Club Live seminar in there as yet. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Can you raise your hand if you have a question? Do you know how to do a hand raise? Okay. Well, let's see what Dyson Parkin. Can I invite you to ask your question?
Yes, I haven't got any students at the moment, but I was in the call. I was in the process of setting students up when the coronavirus pandemic came in. So I'm just wondering how easy it would be to get them all together, new students, and get them on this Bridge Club Live. It looks quite complex to me to get it all set up and started.
Can I take that at the beginning, and then I think Celia
yes.
might add something. Do you know, that is such a good comment, because the reason I delivered this today is I am a new user on it. I'm very familiar with other sites and I am new to it, and I agree. At first glance, it looks complicated. By definition, all of these websites, because they have to have so much information on them, it's very difficult to make them simplified. But I've just been in there myself. I've gone in as a user. I've gone in from the perspective of a student and joined in a coaching table and just played around with all those settings as I suggest. I'm no expert at all, far from it, but I feel comfortable enough now, having spent, a week and a bit, that I would take my students in there and I would feel quite happy. And the good thing about Bridge Club Live is that club atmosphere, that there are people to ask and you will get help. And on that note, I'm going to ask Celia to add whatever she wishes to that point.
Jax has mentioned that there are plans to set up a teaching room, and the teaching room will only be available to approved, fully qualified teachers, but they will be able to take their students in there free of charge. So the teacher will have to be a full member of Bridge Club Live, but the students, if they're only going to be attending classes from that teacher, the teacher will be able to arrange for them to go in completely free. If they want to move on to play independently on the main club, then they would need to take out a membership later on. But just for their lessons, it would be completely free, and the teacher would be able to enrol them.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
What
I think if I can just also add that that students do really appreciate you doing anything online at the moment. They are, just remember that they're isolated, and when they get together at a table and have the ability to play, you know, you will be talking them through what can seem like a bit of an IT lesson for the first hour or so. But once they've actually got on, they will really appreciate your efforts. So can I ask Pat Welsh to Pat, could you ask your question about subscription?
Yes, it's largely been answered by Celia. I wanted to know whether all students have to pay for a subscription before they can join your table. But if I could go on just to ask a second one, how many tables of students are you going to be allowed in the teaching rooms where you can get your students in for free? So for example, as if you were a qualified teacher, could you get 2 tables available so that you could see each one individually?
Well, so far as I'm aware, you could have an unlimited number, well, a reasonably unlimited number of tables. In some of the rooms in Bridge Club Live, there are hundreds of tables. So I don't see that it would be much different in the new teaching rooms.
Okay, Celia, thank you. That's great.
Okay. Okay, Sue Osborne. I'm looking for Sue Osborne. I need to find. Can you unmute and ask your question, Sue? You've asked about joining with a partner or possibly playing in teams. Can I just find Sue? I need to.
I've unmuted.
Okay, right. I can't always see you on the screen. I can see like lots of a couple of screens of faces. Welcome, Sue. What's your question?
Hello, Celia. I've played a few afternoons, and I've struggled to find how to find my pair that I've agreed to play with. So I know how to invite my partner as a friend, and we can get onto a table, but I don't always find it easy to find the other pair that we've agreed to play with. I wonder if you could talk that through for us, please.
It's a good idea, Sue, to add them to your friends list. You can make 4 separate friends lists, and once somebody is in your friends list, their name appears in a different color to everyone else. So, for instance, in one of my friends lists, they're all in purple. In another friends list, they're all green. The aliases appear green. And that makes it much easier to spot them. But also, you can look to see what your friends are doing, if they're lurking in a particular room, or if they're at a particular table. And also, just by clicking on their alias, you can send your chat directly to them. So it makes it easier to find them.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, somewhere on my screen is Lee Harding. I can't find you, Lee. Can we unmute Lee? Has a question about are the coaching hands pre-selected?
Yes, probably Celia knows the answer to this.
Yeah.
Do they pre-select them, or are they completely random? Because I just know from my experience that sometimes if you use completely random hands to supervise play, you can get such complicated things that they're not terribly useful.
They are at the moment completely random.
Okay.
And on a Tuesday morning, at the moment, several teachers are going in there, playing the hands, and then we're getting a printout. Well, printout is quite the wrong word, actually. It is a printout of the hands with the contract that the teachers got, playing the basic system that their students would normally be using. And other teachers can have a copy of that to use during the week. However, in the new teaching rooms, it's planned to have pre-dealt boards which are based on the lessons that the teachers would be planning to teach.
Okay, thank you.
So that they, you know, if there would be several boards on opening one no trump, several boards on slam bidding or something like that.
Okay, so just a couple of questions to follow on to that. How, as a teacher, would we get hold of that copy that you mentioned that was available that teachers had done on a Tuesday morning?
Just email me or sticky note me if you're in the club.
Yeah.
Make sure I've got your email address and I'll email it to you.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay.
Right.
It's
Okay.
worth noting, isn't it, that because the PBM files are available, you can do it you can do that yourself. You can export the PBM file for every board, and you can put that into dealer software or free software and generate your own
But presumably you've got
outcomes.
to play it first before you can get access to that?
Yes.
You
Yes,
do.
so I wouldn't have time to play all 24 boards and then,
That's
yeah,
why we're playing them
Right.
on a Tuesday morning. You
Yeah,
saw
great.
the table that Jack's looked at first. There were a couple of coaches sitting at that table.
Yeah.
They weren't coaching, they were playing the boards.
I see.
And they just kept their coach alias.
Okay,
You can change alias. So, for instance, when I'm coaching in there, I change to Coach Dulciana. And then I
Okay.
change back again to Dulciana when I stop coaching.
okay. And how do you do that? Do you do that in the normal way? You change
And
alias?
you do it on the, you mustn't be playing at the time.
Right,
You do it from the home page, go into members, and there's an option to change alias, and quite comprehensive instructions.
yes,
what to
I
do.
know where, yeah, thanks. Okay, great.
Okay. Can I just ask David Guild, you had your hand raised, I think. So
I did.
did you have
I
something else you wanted to ask about that?
Just a question for Celia. On the Bridge Club Live proposed teaching tables, are they going to be available to a teacher, perhaps operating in a club that's attended the teacher's course and registered? Are they generally available to those?
It's more likely they would need to be a full member of EBTA, that is a fully qualified member.
Okay.
They
So
would
how
need to be
long is
full-
it going to take to be fully qualified in this COVID time?
You'd need to ask Douglas that. I don't know if Douglas is here.
Right.
Are we going to do online
okay, so-
qualification?
Douglas is in charge of
That's for
teaching.
Lorna.
Right, hello David, I'm the EBTA manager, that's for the English Bridge Teachers Association. So it is a question I've been asked in the last few weeks, and obviously as time goes on we are reviewing the situation, and nobody can at the moment predict how long it will be before we're back in the classroom, but it will be something that we could look at, possibly some online assessment. It's not out of the question, but I can't give any specific news on that as yet. It's something we could look at.
Thank you.
Could I ask let's see, Maureen Dalton. Maureen, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted a clarification. You say that it's going to be free for the students in the teaching room.
Yes.
It's also free for the students in the coaching room. So can I take them to the coaching room?
And if you're going to the coaching room, they are presumably already aware of how to bid to a certain extent.
Yes. But there may be improvers level, or, that you want to, you said there's usually something you can get them.
That's not completely discussed yet.
Right.
If the teaching room they would definitely be free for the students. To go into Coaching Corner, that's in the main club. So it's a bit of a grey area there at the moment.
That's why I wanted clarification, whether we could say to the students, yes, I can do some supervised play for you in the coaching room now that we've been talking about this. And I know if we play boards 2 and 3, they're really rather good for what, you know, that was how I was anticipating.
Yes, at the moment, that's the only way, because the teaching room isn't open yet. We hope to have it open very soon, but it isn't open yet. At the moment, that's the only way you can take your students in. They can play. You can, provided you are a full member yourself, you can use the invite a friend facility, and that gives them a trial free membership. But at the end of that, they would need to take out the social membership, which, assuming they're going to continue playing bridge online, is less than £1 a week.
Yes, but it was just this sort of trying to get them on and in and supervised. Right, just thanks for the clarification. So really, they've just only got that, the normal free trial membership period.
In the main club, yes.
i.e. Coaching Corner.
It's going to be a completely different server. So it's like having a separate club.
Right, yeah.
Right, okay, can I invite Graham Baskerville to ask a question now, please?
Hello, everyone. Neither Jax nor Celia have mentioned robots. And I wondered if you can play against robots on BCL. And what sort of
no robots in BCL.
Okay, right. That's good news in some ways, bad news in others. Thank you very much.
Right, okay, now somebody's just pointed out that we've missed a question. Who was Christine Ballinger asked a question. Christine, can you ask your question, please?
Yeah, sure. I think I've read that there'll be the practice hands from the eBed course will be.
What we've actually said is that there would be practice hands relevant to the eBed course.
Oh, not the practice hands, because of course they're downloadable and we can load them into tables on other platforms.
But yes, they are copyright, so they could only be accessible to eBed approved teachers.
Yes, so an eBed approved teacher, you know, it's fine for you to upload a couple of hands to a table in BBO for your own private lesson, but not to you know, organise any sort of large teaching event using those hands. They are for bridge teachers who are our members.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add another point to that? I see that Mike Eden's asking a question. Can you, on the same topic, can you load your own hands into the site? And Celia may ask that, but it's my belief that you can't load anything at the moment. Is that something on the teaching table that you'll be able to, Celia?
It may be possible in the future. It won't. I don't think it'll be possible when it first opens. I think there will have to be preloaded hands.
Right. Okay. I'm just scanning down the question list to see if I've missed any questions. If you have a question, can you physically raise your hands and we will unmute you? And okay, Fred waving there. One moment.
I've taken unmuted.
Oh, okay, Fred, what's your question?
Just to confirm, if you're a professional teacher, I can understand you get the whole lot. If you're an associate teacher, in other words, you're still waiting for that approval from the EBU, can you get into this system and use it?
Fred, you can access the Teacher Zone and you can download hands from our Teacher Zone.
Yes, I understand that. I understand all of that. But can you actually use the teaching tables and invite students in? Are you approved to that level? Because Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
I pay my subscription to Lisa Miller in the usual way. I do all the bits and pieces, but you've got to actually get so many people under your belt and have a formal approval to become a professional teacher. And if you haven't got to that level yet.
Right. So what you're actually paying for is all the EBTA services, which is access to the teacher's owned, discounts on the books, lots of, huge list, which is on our website. And what we're actually doing the tutorial about today is Bridge Club Live, which is a completely separate organisation.
Yes, I understand. So are we talking about the same teacher? Because this is an approved teacher. Is that an approved teacher for BCL as well?
Well, Celia, does BCL have approved teachers?
BCL, sorry,
it's an online play program.
At the moment, BCL, I have a list which I've been asked to meet over the last couple of weeks of teachers who hope to teach on BCL. Now, obviously, we need to be sure that they are competent, qualified teachers. And also, it will depend what hands are in the teaching room. If there are any EBED hands in there preloaded, then they would have to be EBED approved teachers, because their hands are copyright.
So the follow-on question to that is, how do you apply to BCL to become an approved teacher?
You fill in the registration form. And whether you're approved or not is not entirely up to me. And obviously, I'm part of the process, but only part of it.
That's fine. That's good.
Right. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking down the list of questions. So Fred, your question actually in the chat box there is, can you clarify the difference of professional teacher and associate teacher? They are both either EBU approved. So so we have 3 levels of EBED levels of teacher, which is associate, full and professional. And it's EBED that manage the process. Okay. Right. Does anybody else have any other questions? We have Maggie. Can I just ask Maggie?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still not getting the thing about the coaching room. I noticed Keith said that students would need to register but not take out a subscription, whereas I think earlier somebody said they would have to take out a trial subscription. I still haven't got that clear in my head. I don't know if I've missed something.
It's the difference between the coaching room, which is part of the main club, and the teaching room, which will be effectively a different club. So the teaching room will be a club whose members are approved teachers, and they can take their students in free of charge to that area, to the teaching rooms. The main club, which is obviously a playing club rather than a teaching club, you do need to join. You can get a free trial membership, but we're planning to have a teaching area where teachers who are members can take their students free of charge. Is that any clearer, Maggie?
Yeah, I think, yes, it was just the coaching room I was interested in, about the difference between registration and subscription.
Right. Okay, so we'll allow a few more questions in the next few minutes. I just want to share some some news that many people have been asking us about our Bridge for All books. That is the book 1, the book 2, the practice books, the fast track book. These will be available from eBed, and we have on our website, we have on our news feed, we have now the information that you will be able to see about the books, which how to order the books. So on our news feed, we have, I'm not sure whether you can you see the news news screen? Yeah. So this is where you find how to order our Bridge for All books and how to re-watch any of our tutorials. So there are links in there to the previous tutorials, and there is a link there on how to order the books. So it basically involves sending an email to Lisa, but the link is there and it will describe what we're doing in the next couple of weeks to enable you to order the books. Can everybody see that okay? Hope so, yeah. Right, so just need to stop screen sharing.